My instructor, he had a couple hundred students. They need it. We host bingo nights. We do anything and everything.
And I wanted to see this at mass scale. They do a lot of goodwill and don't market the fact that they do it at all.
I could teach karate, but I just wasn't making money. Hoka James says, if you fail to do what is right, that's sin. It's not
How many schools are you operating right now?
Started back up again when I was 9. Corley, American Karate. So trained there. So end up getting my black belt under a good year and a half before I break even and I start making money. Boy, she has multiple warrior cups. I mean, she could put them all over the place, but they're not here.
Welcome to Ready, Set, Rise, the ultimate podcast made for martial artists by martial artists, with your hosts Aaron Hensley and Cameron Smith.
Hey guys, welcome to Ready, Set, Rise. I'm joined with martial arts entrepreneur superstar Josh Horwege. Josh comes from the Atlanta area, owns the dojo schools in that area. And I just want to say, first of all, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I want to know, we'll talk business stuff later, but I want to know kind of your upbringing in martial arts and just, how old were you when you got started? How did you get started? Why did you fall in love with it? Did you fall in love with it? I want to kind of know the origin story of your martial arts journey.
Yeah, so man, ever since I can remember, I just loved it. I remember being a kid, maybe 4 or 5 years old, sneaking downstairs watching Kung Fu theater. That maybe before your time too, Aaron. I don't even know, but and I just had fun just watching.
I don't know. I don't know who's older.
I don't know, man. We may find out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I snuck down and remember just getting in trouble for sneaking out watching Kung Fu theater. I just loved it. Started when I was about 4 or 5. They couldn't afford it, so we stopped. And then I started back up again when I was 9 at Joe Corley, American Karate. So trained there for 3 or 4 years. My owner, like a lot of dudes, branch off, wanted to do his own thing. So ended up getting my black belt under him. Not a lot of money, so I couldn't travel or compete much. But whenever I did step out, I did pretty good. So I kind of really enjoyed that aspect of it. So fast forward, started teaching for him when I was 16. Back then, there was no instructor training. They just all sat in the office and watched and laughed at you as you struggled to do flying side kicks for 45 minutes because you had no one else what to do. So started teaching when I was 16, just nonstop, just nonstop since, and just absolutely love it. I was a decent athlete growing up. I just was always good at fighting, just always loved martial arts. And I think kind of similar to your story, the dojos where I just felt real accepted, right? And that was a place where I just walked in with such confidence and just it was a big part of my youth growing up. So it's just that's why I love doing it and giving back, because it made a huge impact on my life.
You said something. You said back then they didn't have instructor training. You mean they actually still have that now?
Well, I guess some places do, right? Some places do.
Right. No, tongue in cheek there. So, was there a time, I guess, in that journey when you're doing martial arts where it's like you made the switch of like this is who I am the rest of my life type thing? I mean, obviously you do other things, but was there a pivotal moment? Was it something that you kind of just fell into, or like there was this like epiphany, or
yeah?
How did that transform into your lifestyle?
I mean, growing up, that's all I wanted to do. I knew it from a young age, but my instructor, he had a couple hundred students, and he ended up having to close the doors because you and I both know just because you can teach karate doesn't mean you can run a business, right? Just because you can run a studio doesn't mean you can run a business. There's a bunch of differences. So I remember being a senior in high school, working 2 jobs, always had a great work ethic because I had to. And I remember one guy, I was working at a car wash, he offered me a job. I'm like, no, I'm going to own a studio one day. He goes, I did it once, there's no money there, that's a poor person's career to do it. So I kind of listened to him. So I went to college and was still teaching on the side, and got hired by a company that was a Joe Corley branch, and they were killing it, but they were selling paper. I didn't know if you know that banks would buy a contract at almost like a paid in full discount, but they would get murdered. Like they would get 60% of the contract, the bank would collect on it. So, but they were doing, I guess back in 2099, like $50,000 months then. And but they're just selling paper, and their product wasn't amazing, but I really saw that you can make money doing this, right? You can make money doing this. So had another mentor at the time who was a real good fighter, and he ran a studio where he put out a great product. His name is Joe Imperatori. He put out a great product, and he had a great living. So I was like, maybe I can do this. So I was going to college, and my boss at the time said, "Hey, do you want to open a studio with me? If I have to quit school, if it doesn't work, you can always go back." So I said, "You know what? Let's give it a try." So that's when I kind of made the decision to go all in and dropped out of college to be an entrepreneur.
Man, so how are you close with your family? What's kind of your background with your family?
Yeah. So
Mom, dad, kind of what's the situation
yeah,
there?
mom, dad. My mom was probably. I was a lot closer to my mom growing up. Parents are divorced. You know, a lot of similar stories with
Okay.
Karate Kids. Great dad. Now he's sober. Alcoholic
Yep.
dad. Parents got divorced. My mom, awesome, super close. She moved about a couple hours away, so we're still really close. My dad and I are best friends. He would take me to every fight night. He'd drive me all over the place, and so he's still. I stopped competing a few years ago, but he still had traveled with me. You know, I'm a grown-ass man, just hanging out. And so my dad and I are just best friends, man. I talk to him daily. We hang out all the time. He's my biggest supporter, my biggest fan, and so we're really tight. I have two sisters, both obviously out of the home. They live kind of far away, but we still keep in touch too. So not as close to them, but it's kind of my family dynamics.
So when you dropped out of college to go full time as martial arts entrepreneur and follow that path, what was your family's reaction? Were they like, "Yes, that's what you're meant to do," or they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, like what was kind of their opinion
Man, my
of that?
mom and dad have always been great. They just want me to be happy, and you know, and honestly, when I was
Okay.
going to college, I wasn't focused on college, right? Because I wasn't super studious at the time, so they probably thought it was the best thing for me because I was wasting money, you know,
Right.
having failing grades. So, yeah, they were said go for it.
All right, well then, so then you make that decision. I'm sure there's been a lot of ups and downs, just like any other business, I'm sure. You know, fast forward to where you are currently, how many schools are you operating right
6.
now? 6, okay. And then they're all in the
Yeah,
Atlanta area,
I like
proximity,
personally,
right?
windshield time's huge for me, so I want to make sure I can all of them
Yeah.
quickly.
I'm with you that. So from kind of the start of like, hey, this is what I'm doing to where you are now, you know, what do you think you personally had to either learn or get rid of or acquire to be able to operate to get to 6 locations? Because you know most people have a hard time with
Yeah.
1, much less getting to 6. So from the time you're like, hey, this is my intent with my life, this is where I'm going. What are some of the skills or things that you had to either acquire or get rid of, one or the other, to get to where you are currently right now?
Yeah, so I remember when I finally owned 100% of my first location. Once again, I could teach my ass off. I could teach karate, but I just wasn't making money. I remember I opted not to pay my taxes so I could buy my current wife, my only wife, my new wife, my forever wife, her engagement ring. And so
The
I
wife.
remember I got in trouble with the IRS, like a lot of young business owners do, because I didn't pay my taxes. I remember calling my
Right.
dad, thinking, you know, I can't do this, dude. Like, I love martial arts. I want to go back to college. I remember I basically crying on the phone, like, this is too much for me. I can't do this. At the time,
Right.
I was also. The biggest thing that happened for me is just fall in love with the Lord. Did not grow up in church. I just fell in love with the Lord and just started running after him hard. And at that time, some real successful businessmen just took me under their wing. And they just taught me how to professionalize the business. And they weren't martial arts business owners. They just were great business owners in general. I've never been big, and nothing against the martial arts industry. I don't follow anything anyone else really does. Now, we all end up doing a lot of the same things because, you know, good systems usually rise to the top. But
Sure.
so really getting connected with a few men who taught me how to learn, how to relearn, how to read, how to prioritize systems, and you know, leverage data to make decisions, and just that just really started taking the next level. Then my current mentor, Tim League, who's partners in all my studios, he really pushed me to open up because I had a real successful studio, and that's all I wanted. And God called me into
Right.
ministry, so I was going to go work for a church, and ended up not getting a position. And I felt like at that point. You know that story when God finally gave Abraham Isaac, and he says, now go take Isaac and go, you know, sacrifice him up on the hill. And God just gave Abraham what he always wanted. But then once he was willing to give up that one son he always wanted, God just was testing him, right? So I felt like God was giving me everything I wanted in my studios. I had success, I had happy marriage, and he was like, okay, now are you willing to walk away from that and choose me? So I was willing to walk away from the studios. I was going to figure something out, right? And just one studio. Go pursue
Right.
ministry, but ended up not working out. So I felt like he wanted me to open up more, and my mentor and my wife just pushed me. I didn't want to do second one. I probably should be a little bit more ambitious, but they kind of bullied me. And I opened that second one, kicked my ass. I'm telling you, man. It's like when you have one kid and you go to two
Yeah.
kids, it rocks your world, right? And so that second studio,
Yeah.
that's when I really learned through my mentorships how to create systems and processes, because I couldn't do everything at both places all the time. And so that's when I started running our meetings and just creating all of our spreadsheets and all of our processes to make sure that everything's getting done.
I just got finished talking with Adam Kiefer, and he kind of made the same kind of comment. He, really focused on his faith. It's been really powerful for him. So it's kind of cool seeing that, and it's also nice to see guys of high level of stature in any industry be able to freely be able to speak that, talk about it, and also, what I think sometimes hurts the industry is people, if you don't agree with them, they shame you. And this happens across the board, but I feel like you are who you say you are from everything I've ever seen, and then, but you also don't force people to say, hey, this is the only way that you can get to success.
100.
So being able to talk about your faith like you talked about, I think it's powerful, and I think it'd be nice to see more people be more. I think it's confidence to speak about it, because I think the reason why we don't tie in religion sometimes to our business is because we're worried about alienating people. I think there's a right way that you can do that without having to, force feed, I guess, or something like that.
I couldn't agree more. So I know where I stand on my faith, but I'm also not God. I can't judge anybody, So I accept everybody.
Right.
But I also think there's a misconception of like Christian men, like Ned Flanders or or Mr. Rogers. Like,
Right,
if you look
right.
at men in the Bible, they were vicious, man. They were aggressive. They were godly,
Yeah.
but they weren't punks. They weren't bitches, right? They had some
Right,
gusto
yeah.
to them. So I don't know. When we pray at our meetings, and a lot of people don't believe, but I never offend them. At the end of the meetings, I just pray for everybody. They don't.
Yeah,
No one
yeah.
cares. Half my staff, I don't think are even believers, but I don't ever offend them. But they know where I stand. But I can't tell how many times people come up to me.
Sure.
They have questions, or they're struggling, because at some point everyone's going to struggle with their faith. They're to ask, they're to seek, want to know.
Of
And
course.
I think just the environment that God's let me to create, it's a comfortable, safe environment, to ask those questions.
Yeah. I love that. So, second location, you kind of figure out, I can't be two places at one time, and doing systems processes. Obviously, and then 2 to 6, there's even more, obviously, things like that. And there's probably still things you're not happy with. I'm sure there's always that thing that's like, and that could be better, or this one would be better. Your wife is, I believe, in the real estate game, if I'm correct, right? And from what I can see, she seems like she's very successful doing that. So it seems like you both have a lot of positive energy going forward in that. You have a family with how many
3.
children? Is it 3
junior,
or
17-year-old daughter, about
3?
17. A freshman son, and a 7th grade son. Yep.
Okay, so they're getting a little older as well too. So that's a new kind of cycle of life going there. So when it looks from the outside like everything's going right, what is it? Where is it that you're still dreaming about more of something or better of something, or have you gotten to the point where you're like, hey, we're good where we are, and then also what are the challenges that come with success that you guys are faced as a family?
It's funny you asked that, because you're in the coaching world. I'm slowly starting to dive into it, and so I said I'm going to hire a coach to see how they do it, like a high level one. And I hired the first one. Great dude, loved him, but it only lasted a month for me because I wasn't getting what I wanted. And but he was stuck on this question, like, Josh, what thrills you? I'm like, the life I have. Like, I love my life. I love what I do, and I'm not content. Like, I always want to win. I don't like losing. I want to grow. If I'm not growing, I feel like I'm dying. Like, I love to work. I work on the weekends. I get ahead on the weekends. Like, it's not a job for me. Like, if I'm not working, I do understand how to cut loose and have fun and step off, but step away. But I just love to work. So I am questioning what would thrill me right now. I'm still trying to figure out what that is. But I know our current studios haven't reached their full potential yet, and that's my fault. I know I got to lead a little bit better in certain areas. So my 2 things this year that I am excited about are the nonprofit that we just launched, and then stepping into the coaching world. And I've done it for a few people already, just like you probably do, just out of the goodness of your heart, and seen some great results.
Sure.
And so I thought about just doing that. I'm not really thrilled about opening a new location. Actually, every time I open a location, it's because I have an instructor who wants to do it, right? And I want to give them opportunities to grow
Right.
and to stay around. We have junior partners, and there's always headaches, and you can probably I know you can get there faster, but it always takes a good year and a half before I break even and I start making money, because these things take time. They don't just they're not profitable overnight. And we do debt free and everything. We personally finance it, and then so yeah, probably the nonprofit and step in the coaching world is kind of what I'm excited about now.
I love that. Well, I'm going to jump right to the nonprofit. Give me kind of the background and kind of share with the audience. I know you have a website as well too, so give me kind of the background and the mission behind that.
I think basically what happens is you do the same thing. We're one of the big ways we own an area is we really partner with elementary schools, and we just don't give them money. We really serve them, right? And they know about us. We'll go and do whatever, man. We'll move furniture if they need it. We host bingo nights. We do anything and everything they want us to do. We do, and we get real good with the counselors, because I really do believe our product changes lives. We're not selling used cars. We just had some great impact on some challenged kids in the community. So they get referred to us, but even though we're in a very affluent area, there's still families who can't afford it, right? So we scholarship X amount of families, but we're a for-profit business. We only can scholarship so much, and there's still a lot of unmet needs in our community. So I didn't want to start a nonprofit because all the red tape, all the processes, but we partner with a company that gets a small percentage, and they do all the back end. So one of my goals is, when I get this up and going, is maybe we can team up on it, is show other business owners how to do this, right? They don't have to worry about all the red tape on the back end. Just take them through the process on how you can start your own nonprofit. And the donations we'll use for other things, but we'll use to fund whether it's regular karate, after school karate, or summer camps, and or whatever needs the community has. So we're super excited to make a big impact and just to give back.
What was kind of, I guess, a turning point where you're like, hey, let's kind of legitimize this? Because like you said, you're probably already goodwill doing a lot of these things anyway. Like, what was the turning point for like, hey, let's actually put a process for this?
We got to a point where we have X amount of spaces that we can actually give scholarships in certain programs. Like, there's only so many seats on the bus or whatnot, and we had to start turning people down. I just feel like the book of James says, if you fail to do what is right, that's sin. It's not always doing what's wrong. It's like when you know something right and you don't do it, that's not okay. So I felt like I don't want to sit back and just let this happen. So we took a step to get it done.
And the thing is, it's like, there's a lot of guys like you and me that in the martial arts space that do a lot of goodwill and don't market the fact that they do it at all. And I see both sides. I know when you don't tell people about what you're doing, you feel maybe it's more sincere because it's like, well, I'm just doing it because it's who I want to be. Also, see the other side. It's like, well, if you don't tell people what you're doing, you can't get other people on the bus to help you do more of it. Because you as one man can only do so much. I can only do one much, right? So like, I see both sides. My intent, and I had this in place at 2 locations, and I wanted to see this at mass scale with the brand I was formerly part of. So it's part of my mission going forward. But my intent was, wherever I had, like where I have 6 schools, right? So I had 3 different cities with 6 schools. So like those kind of like bases is the next location we would open would be in a part of town that we know we normally would not have a brick and mortar, but it would be a brick and mortar. It would smell, taste, look the same. And I had 2 cities that were partnering with us. They were going to bus the kids there. And instead of having a salesperson, we're going to have someone who's there doing grant writing or doing fundraising type stuff. And the goal was, and so that way, like when they come to graduation, though, nobody knows the difference of these kids. They're all the same, Exactly. My real big mission was eventually, when these kids become black belts, we hire them, give them their first job, and hopefully scale some of those up to actually run their own schools someday, and basically really generationally change their lives, right? Like, because we know martial arts creates resilience and discipline and all these things. So that's part of the mission that I'll be working towards. So maybe some of the nonprofit stuff we can do together as well too.
I think it's fantastic because, and we have a couple areas like that too, and the impact you can make. I'm not saying it's greater because every area has their needs, but they definitely have less opportunities, right? The people in my area, they have less opportunities. So provide opportunities for them and just watch them take hold of it, man. Whatever the area demographic could be is going to be awesome. So I love it. That's a phenomenal idea. I'll probably steal that one. So thanks for sharing.
So I want to know about your competition career, because I know stories, and so like where were you competing? And obviously, like I can make some assumptions what you were best known for, because I heard a lot of stories. But give me kind of your background of your competitive martial arts space.
So I'm also pretty self-aware. I was a good fighter. I maybe beat some great fighters, but I was a solid guy, and I can get out there and I could do my job. But once again, growing up, we had no money to compete. So when I got my black belt, I've probably been at 3 or 4 tournaments my whole life. When I got picked up on CJB, that's when Trevor Nash left to go to Paul Mitchell, and there was Damon Gilbert and Jason Tankston, and then Mike Conroy. That's why he was one of Coach, if you ever watch this, what's up? He picked me up. So it was me, Jason, and Damon. But that was the first big team I was on. And before I got on that team, I'd maybe been to 20, probably not even, maybe 20 tournaments in my whole life, but maybe 10 NASCAR tournaments. So I had I'm still just not a lot of experience, you know.
Right.
I was talking to
Right.
Alex and Haley the other day because they're in Atlanta. We're just grabbing some coffee, and I said I've probably been to maybe 70 tournaments my whole life. So I haven't competed that much, you know. I really haven't. So right on CJB,
Right.
had absolute blast. Probably could have done better only because I was in those college years where you wanted to party and have fun and cut up, and still love fighting. But had a pretty good showing with that team, and then CJB lost their sponsorship. And then we actually started doing, back in the day, a different team dojo. The owners of the business wanted to keep me competing, so they sponsored a team dojo. We had Kodak Ray would fight with us a lot. Angel Huerta was on our team, and Dustin Savanek, one of my good friends, who you need to meet because he's killing it over here, doing some really big things.
Okay.
So we all fought together. We had a good run, 3 or 4 years. We beat Paul Mitchell a few times and some other really good teams, and so we had a good little run. And then I met my wife, and I decided that there's more than just competing, you know. So I took a step back at 26 and probably stopped competing for 7 or 8 years, you know, probably some of my better years. Grew the business, grew my faith, and, you know, had 3 kids. Then Alex Reyes called me when I was 33, said, hey, you want to come back and compete? And I said, sure, which I don't know why I said sure. So just started training and forgot how much I loved it. I still fought, like in black belt tests and fought with kids, but I wasn't really training, right? I was working on the business.
Sure.
And we stayed in shape. I just wasn't competing at that high level. The first tournament back, I remember I made it to Final Four and lost to Ross in a pretty close fight on stage. And I was like, you know what? I still got it. So then just started competing again. Had a blast. Alex got me back out. WKF, we had some great teams and just loved fighting with Jim Haymore and Ryan George. Those are my boys right there. We had a blast. So was doing that for a while. And then we started our own team, Team TDE. That's when Cam left Paul Mitchell, and him and Gerald came on with us, and love Cam, man. We're super close. So it was me, Cam, and Devin Hopper, who are all back on, you know, on Paul Mitchell now, and Zach Winder, Devin, and Zach were working with me. And they wanted to do a team. I'm like, let's do it. Let's go. And then Cam came down for a seminar. I was like, I'm in. So we started that, and we had an amazing run with TD and Team Dojo. We were the best team for 3 or 4 years. And I didn't fight as much on that. I fought some because I was kind of in my late 30s. But at 38, my last event, right afterwards, I tore my ACL. So just haven't competed back since. Won a couple overalls, won maybe 7 or 8 team fights with some great teams. So had a fun career, one that I could look back and enjoy for sure.
I'm going to come back to the competition arena here in a minute, but it's definitely not the first time that I saw you or knew who you were, but this is a time where, I don't know how many years ago, it was at AKA. I'm in the gym. I don't know if it was probably right pre-COVID maybe, or somewhere around there. And it's you and your wife in the gym working out. And I didn't know who y'all were at the time. I didn't know if you're karate people or somebody in the hotel, whatever like that. But y'all are a hot couple. Y'all are both in shape. Y'all work out, you know. And I think I was maybe with Reed Presley or somebody that working out. And I kind of was like, I think both y'all were in like solid black. Y'all look like a fitness couple type thing. I didn't know you were a martial artist. I didn't recognize you. And I remember saying something to Reed. I was like, I don't even know what I said. Somebody like, I was like, I think I made a comment like, who's that hot couple over there thinking that they're showing up everybody here? But you, no, actually, I saw you first before I saw your wife, because I'm pretty sure it was AK. I'm like almost positive this tournament was that. But
you go to Chicago a lot, so that's the one.
Yeah, I love Chicago. I just don't love it in January. Oh my God, that's the worst time of year to be there. I love Chicago. Chicago's a great, beautiful city. It's one of my favorite cities, but not in January. Not in January.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. But I noticed, you know, you and your wife, y'all, fitness is a big part of your whole family structure, it seems. You're probably very competitive in that way too. And I think that, to me, on the outside, like, you know, without even knowing you guys on that level, y'all are very inspirational on, you know, trying to win it, not just at your business. And a lot of people put all their eggs in the basket and focus on their business, right? I know the real estate game can be tough. I know running a martial arts school, but you guys seem like, you know, y'all put faith is important, fitness is important, you know, you're successful at your operations business. So I think y'all are a great example of just showing that you can win at all fronts. You don't have to win at one and consequently lose it to something else, you know? So my curiosity is like, is this an intentional thing? Is this how she was pre-wired and you're pre-wired? Is she pushing you on some things, you're pushing her? Do y'all set targets as a family? Like, how do y'all, what looks to be like, hey, this is the American dream that we're living right here. You got the family, you've got your faith in line, your fitness, your financials, like intentionally done, accidentally fall into it, like someone's driving the ship here. How does y'all structure kind of fulfill that, what looks like said to be the perfect American dream here?
I appreciate those compliments, but as you know, it's not perfect. There's hard years. There's years where she doesn't want to look at me and I don't want to look at her. So we definitely love each other. And there's years where I think I'm.
You're so pretty though. You're so pretty.
There's things I think I'm ruining my kids. You know, those days I'm like, I'm screwed so bad. So there's definitely those dark seasons and those good.
Yeah.
But when it comes to health and fitness, I'm big on all of our coaches. I make them train with me. I make them stay active, and a lot of them want to because I just can't stand those martial artists who don't take care of themselves. I'm a hypocrite at times, but I try to be that at least as possible. So it's a big part of who I am. And honestly, what attracted me a lot to her is of course I like how she looks, but I think work ethic is very attractive to me, right? And so when
100% agree. Yes.
I've never once commented on what way which looks at anything because I just love her drive and her ambition to take care of herself and to be the best version of her. I did have a mentor tell me early on to go, when you meet your spouse, you're usually probably in the best shape or in a better shape, you know, because you're single, you're Chinese. Like, but they said, be that same person. Be that same person you were. Like, if you would go out at 12 at night to go get her ice cream because she wants it, be that same person. Like, don't change, just don't get comfortable. So that kind of stuck with me. I wanted to be that same person, and I want to be a good example for my kids, right? And I just wanted to show them what it looks like to have a healthy lifestyle. My daughter is not super athletic. She's amazingly academic, but she works out all the time. She works in the studio. I told you, my 15-year-old son, he's just pound for pound stronger than me. He wakes up at 4:30 twice a week, and we're at a live, work, play neighborhood. He walks to the gym at 4:30 in the morning before school and works out on his own, and he's just crazy strong. My youngest son plays every sport at a high level, but they all will outwork anybody around him. Their work ethic is crazy. I tell my kids hard work works, you know.
Yeah.
So I think as far as the fitness is concerned, I think it's who we're supposed to be as martial artists, supposed to take care of our body. And for me, it's also I guess whoever, I wish someone in Disney high up, their CEO said, I work out for, what do you say? I loved it for, it's going to come back to me, wait for it. He works out for vanity, for sanity, and for health. I want to look a certain way. I'm being honest. I feel when I feel good, I feel like I present myself better and I look good. It makes a big difference. And it's one of the best therapies for me ever, right? And then how active I get to be with my kids. And when I go, I guess selfishly, when I go environments where I see a lot of dads who don't take care of themselves, and my kids see that I do, it just makes me feel, you know, like I'm being a good example to them. So on the...
I love that. I love that because you're right. As people get older, they get comfortable. And then for me personally, I've had journeys up and down with my fitness. And so what I noticed is everything compounds. So when I'm in mode of like really focusing on it, if I miss going to the gym or if I miss doing, like I get up and go, first thing I do is elliptical for an hour, but it's also my time. No one's up and I like mentally get set. So it's not for working out, but I'm moving. When I miss a day, I do. I love that. It's my favorite time of the day, honestly.
No, it's not ring.
But when I miss that, if I don't go lift weights, if I don't, I start a downward slope of being like depressed, you know, and then I make worse decisions about what I eat, what I drink, who I hang out with, you know. 100%. So like, it to me, I have to be all or nothing, you know. Like I have to either let my guard down or be all in. So like for me, it's like fitness, for vanity for sure, but also too like I want to be. If I tell people I'm a leader, I want to separate myself by making sure that my health, my fitness, my faith, all those things are in line, you know. So you guys are a great example. You guys are a great example of that.
We definitely try.
Well, I'm gonna shift to a little bit. I'm gonna stay on the competition part of martial arts and then kind of go to the business. But so obviously, you've been able to hire a lot of people in the martial arts space that have a high level of achievement in the space of competition. And you are a great competitor yourself. What do you see, and I don't care what arena we want to talk about per se, but like what do you see in the space of martial arts competition that if you had a magic wand, you can go up there and like, hey, we're changing this today. Give me one or two things, not a laundry list. Give me one or two things that you believe would, be a game changer for the industry if we could go magic wand, change some things.
Are you two things? Oh my gosh, here we go. Because we had Kappa, we had Jackson Rudolph, we had Jeff Doss, we had Mike Conner. A lot of us were trying to. Kappa's Coaches Players Association. We were trying to make a change better for the sport. And we were trying to just give promoters feedback from the competitors and from the parents and from the consumers. And then I tried to start Pro Point, and if you watch those, there's some amazing fights. I lost a lot of money on that, but I did my best to try to change the sport. But professionalism, just professionalism, and I don't think we're ever to get.
But give me context when you say that, because like when I hear that, you might have one version of what you hear, and I have something else. So like, give me something tangible. What does professionalism mean to you in the terms of that?
For example, if you go to an NBA basketball game, the court's the same size everywhere you go. Referees are so consistent. Everything's it's just from when you go from A to B. Every game is going to be identical. In our tournaments, to this day, the rules change from event to event. There's different ring sizes for competitors, and I thought point fighting had issues. I know your son's crushing it at forms, but when I started hanging out with Jackson and Jeff, they explained to me how many challenges are in the forms division too. So a lot of inconsistencies and because the judges aren't paid, they're volunteers, so they get whoever they can get. And so I think there's a lot. And kudos to the promoters. I'm not trying to talk shit about them. I just put on a Pro Point event, and it was hard enough. I couldn't imagine doing what they do. There's some great promoters out there, I think, that are trying their best. But just that aspect of it, and just the quality of the product when it comes to fighting, I think is. What gets rewarded gets repeated. I tell my staff all the time, what gets rewarded gets repeated. And I think it's not the fighter's fault the way some of the techniques look nowadays, because I want to win. And when I was out there, I was doing techniques I didn't love because they were scoring me points, right? So I think those are kind of some examples of professionalism, just consistency across the board. I don't know. And then just what we preach about discipline and respect. When you go to some of these events, it's just crazy, some of the behavior you see, not just from the athletes, but from the judges, and so those kind of things just got to clean it up.
Yeah, on the professionalism, I mean, I agree with both of what you're saying. My son's getting ready for Chicago next week, and it's a tournament I want to go to. But I'm actually going to be I'll be at in Oklahoma City for visiting Century at the same time, and he's up here training with me, and we're going through his forms, and he's showing me some of the stuff that he's thinking about putting in his common routine, and I'm sure I'm biased. It's my son, but sometimes I'm biased in the wrong way, meaning like I see with a harder eye with him which is unfair to him actually. But I don't believe that unless there's somebody out there in the universe right now competing with commas, I haven't seen anybody do some of the stuff my son can do with commas that he doesn't put in his routines that he can just do on his own. And he can do any weapon. But he was showing me some stuff he wants to change his style approach a little bit this year. And we were going through his form, and he started showing me some of the stuff, and I was like, man, you're like a magician, the stuff you're doing with these comments. Like, I've never seen anybody do some of the stuff you're doing. And I says, but here's the challenge. If you do this, a judge is going to be someone like me, all right? Maybe a little older, maybe a little younger, but they're sitting there watching you, and they can't comprehend what you just did. And they don't understand the intricacies because what gets rewarded gets repeated, and so there's a style that's winning right now, and so it's easier to kind of follow along with a trend. And second, when they're sitting there as a volunteer person all day long, or they're trading out for their hotel room, whatever it is, they're not fully in watching what you're doing. And unless so I was like, you have to make a conscious decision. If you're going to try something that's not really out there, that it's probably not going to be accepted or received well. And if that's your choice, and the consequence means you might not win as much because you're choosing to follow your heart somewhere, I'm okay with that decision, but you can't change your mind based on the outcomes, not what you want, right? And so I think that's what I love about competition. There's great teaching lessons to be had, but volunteer army is what's running these events.
Whenever you introduce something new to the market, there's not education. Like when Uber first came out, people know what it was, right? So when you do something new, you're right. There's going to be a learning curve that these judges are going to have to learn. It's almost like you need to go up to them beforehand and be like, "Hey, I'm doing this move. Here's what I'm doing. Hope you get to see it," or something. Because I coach football, we'd run a trick play that was kind of borderline allowed, not allowed. We always go, here's what we're going to do. Just kind of prepare them on it so they wouldn't instantly throw a flag on us or whatnot. So, but yeah, I've seen your son do some stuff, and he is sick, dude. He's sick.
And of course, like the whole martial arts, the whole martial arts space and the competition thing is like, I'm sure Jackson's lost a lot of times because of his last name. You know, I mean, I know it. And that goes back to what you talk about is we teach discipline, respect, and all these things, and then we got judges out there who don't necessarily follow through with the promise of that. So, well, I'm gonna shift the same question though. We'll go to the space of the business of martial arts schools. What do you see that people are doing that, man, if you could get everyone to change across the board, one thing, two things that you see that just like frustrates you from the entrepreneur side of things in the business?
Couple, I mean, we'll talk about product and we'll talk about like marketing and messaging. So when it comes to products, at the end of the year, we do a little review with our staff. I'm like, what are some trends you're seeing out there? And this is a harder year for a lot of martial arts studios, and a couple closed down around us, right? And whenever we get kids trying to transfer into us, and we're a very transient state. A lot of people are moving south, so we're used to bringing people in. We have pretty good systems to get them caught up. But the quality of the product we're getting, these people are like, oh, they told me I get a black belt in 3 years, and they're like, I want to get it before I go to college, and I'm a brown belt now. I only got 1 year left, and we're like, and they come into our system, and they just really don't. They just really don't. And I'm not against this, so I'm not knocking it, but we don't charge belt fees. A lot of places do. I'm not against it. I think it's a smart business. But we don't, because I don't want to reward my staff. I don't want them to ever feel incentivized to move someone up because of a belt rank. So we don't make any. There's nothing wrong with that. If people do it, nothing wrong with it. So kudos to you. A lot of my friends do it. I don't tell them to stop doing it, but for me and my convictions, right, I don't want to. So when they come in, their brown belts are like our green belts, and it's just hard. So it's a very hard. And the problem is, a lot of parents took karate growing up, and it was bad karate. And they don't want to do it. They're like, no, I did that growing up. It's bullshit. It doesn't work. I was working with my friends today. He's like, yeah, gosh, I was a recommended black belt when I did it. I didn't learn anything. He's like, so I never put my kids in it because it just didn't do anything for them. So I think the trend is like, I don't know. Some people are just do it for $1, or they, I don't know. So that's one of the ones. Just the quality of the product. Like you got to just. I'll pause because I think I can tell you want to pipe in on that one too.
No, I can't. I couldn't agree with you more. It's like, I know the people who are winning in our space would probably, like, you would be successful probably in anything because it's your mindset, and you talk about work ethic. It's built in you, and it's who you are. And the people in our space that are winning, they're built that way. And talk about product, like, because I'm assuming this is how you are just based on knowing you. Like, Chick-fil-A is the number one in the business of selling chicken. And but they just released a new sandwich this week. It's like they didn't just stop like, hey, we're successful, let's stop. We're still trying to improve on the things that are already successful. And so like the product should never fully develop. The product's always in development. It's always improvement mode, right? And yeah, I think a lot of people have just stopped they haven't taken a class in a lot of years. That's one of my pet peeves. Is like the karate instructor who hasn't taken a class in 20 years himself, but like telling the students to go train. He like whatever. He stopped growing. And I would tell my staff, our rule was back when I was running schools. My rule was, guys, if you don't want to train, you don't want to learn how to be better at your business systems, you don't want to learn how to be better as a martial artist, you want to be a better martial arts teacher, martial arts communicator, martial arts educator. If you don't want to, I want you to go to the front door right now, put a sign on the door and say, hey, I've stopped learning. Don't take classes from me. I want you to tell the world that you just stopped. Right? And like, these are my schools. I'm telling my staff, like, hey, if you don't want to learn, go put a sign on the door right now and say, I've stopped learning. I've stopped growing. I've given up on myself. I'm a quitter. Right? Like, go tell the world then. Because that's what you're telling everybody with your actions.
I couldn't agree.
So I think, product improvement.
And then back to the Chick-fil-A reference. Yeah. I tell my staff this all the time. Chick-fil-A is great customer service, right? Just amazing, great facilities. But we go there because they have a great chicken sandwich. They have a great product. If their product sucked, I don't care how great customer service is, how great the facilities are. They wouldn't be in business. The product, it matters. The product matters. It really, really does. So, and then on the messaging side, when it comes to your marketing, you're not the hero. No one cares how many world titles you have. No one cares how many locations you have. You're not the hero. They're the hero. Focus on them, changing people's lives. So the questions you ask communicate what's important to you. Every all-staff meeting, I make every student go around and tell me how our product has changed a kid's life or our parents' life or adult's life, whoever it is. I don't want to hear stories about how great I am, my students love me. I want to hear that we're changing kids' lives, because we're not changing people's lives, then I don't care. We're not doing our job. We start every all staff meeting with that, because that's what matters.
I heard that I heard that your staff meeting was everybody gets, drops to their knee, kisses your ring. That's not how it starts.
Thought about it. No, thought about it. No, man, it's not. So those are the kind of things. Just messaging. Like, just get it right. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about what God's given you to give other people, right? So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think. A couple things that always ran true for me is Zig Ziglar. The quote, he says, no one knows how much you care no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So that one always played in my mind. And then second is like I'd go to these, because I don't know how many, I wish I knew the actual number, but I started traveling with my dad when I was 6 years old, 7 years old, going to karate tournaments. And then in the South, there was a lot of times tournaments on Sundays. So we'd do 2 tournaments sometimes on the weekends. And so we'd go to these tournaments, but every time we went to karate tournament, my dad would want to stop on the way there and on the way back out of karate school. So we'd just go hang out at karate schools. I was on a world tour of visiting karate schools. And I was always weirded and freaked out. This is as a kid, when all the trophies would be in the front, but they were so dusty and cobwebby, and I'm like, what is this about? So I was always big about no one cares about what you've won. That's for you personally. The only people that care about what I've won is me, maybe a little bit, and more importantly, my mom and dad. My kids don't even care. My kids don't care. You know what I'm saying? My mom and dad, that's about it.
I agree. We don't even put, we have I'm looking at the studio I'm in now. We have a few trophies, but they're one that kids have won on our current competition team,
Right.
Kitana Everett runs the studio, and she's amazing, by the way. She has multiple Warrior Cups. She could put them all over the place, but they're not here. They're not here because she knows she's not here to gloat about how great she is. She's about changing people's lives. So couldn't agree more.
I love that. So give me, I'm going to shift gears here in a second, but give me kind of 5 years into the future. Where do you see, Josh and the dojo schools? Where do you see the evolution over the next 5 years that if everything goes in the perfect scenario?
Yeah, so we've struggled back and forth with this because, when Premier started franchising, I had multiple people come up to me and wanted me to start franchising. So we started, I never felt like I was going to do that, but I wanted to be prepared to do that, right? So that's when we really started just really getting everything cleaned up, written down. So we thought about maybe, because you can't trademark or brand mark dojo, we thought about rebranding and being in a position where maybe one day we could, or even thought about, kind of talked about what you did, maybe just building a bigger brand with other people. And so you can, when you do sell, you can, 10x it instead of 3 or 4x it, whatever our multiple is for our business. So we've thought about that. But right now it's we're just really trying to clean up everything we do. Just like you said, I know we know what we're doing, but I feel like we could do so much better. I'm just not happy with I'm not happy with the performance. So we're just doubling down on everything right now. So, but in the next 5 years, I'm real big on replacing myself. I think it's one thing a lot of business owners do not do. They try to do it all themselves. They don't allow people to make mistakes. There's learning curves. I have people below me that I'm trying to groom, and they make tons of mistakes, but so did I. So they have, that's how you learn, right? So, but in 5 years from now, I see myself doing something similar role that I have now, but also hopefully crushing the coaching world and the nonprofit world. It's kind of my next 2 areas I want to take on, is make a big impact on the nonprofit and teach people how to do it. And then, but I got to do it first, right? And then the coaching. It's kind of where I see myself going.
Awesome. I think you said not happy. I mean, I know you're a happy man in general. So what you probably mean, I'm assuming, is you're not satisfied with where the results are. And the only reason I say that's I've learned about myself is I got to kind of repeat back to people before I can really digest it, and also helps me to be more. Man, words are so powerful, and I've used the English language. I've used the language so bad. I didn't realize how using the but and because and all these other things basically negate 100%. Everything you say. So I'm using the word and instead of but, or just don't even say the thing if I got to put a but in it, right?
That's great.
I'm excited I want to get closer with you over the next few years in general. Like I believe my intent is to align myself with people more like you. Like I said, talked to Adam earlier today. I want to align myself with the people who are doing big things in the martial arts space. I got one life, man. And by the way, like I am in ministry, and so are you.
100%.
And it happens to be our churches are karate schools. That's our church. That's how we reach people. On October 7th, a year and a half ago, I was the last flight out of Israel in Tel Aviv when the war broke out. I was teaching martial arts in Jericho, the oldest city on planet Earth. Okay, I sponsored a nonprofit there, and I didn't really broadcast much about it, but I was the last flight out of the country and we're supposed to be there 3 more days, but I left because of what was happening. And by the way, when our plane took off, we went off the radar. Brooke had to tell the kids because it was 2 days before I could communicate back with them. She thought that our plane was shot down. But I was teaching kids in Jericho, sponsored a school there, and but martial arts is our ministry, right? It's how we're impacting and getting the message out there and leading people to have a better version of who they are intended by God to be.
Agree.
Some fun stuff. Give me because by the way, I want to come hang out with you and your wife at some point because you guys look like y'all know how to party as well too. Y'all know how to do both of it really well. Okay.
Bit, which I know you don't.
Unfortunately, you're a Georgia fan. So that's the only problem I have with you. I'm from Georgia. Well, I mean, I have property in Tennessee now. But here's the thing: is I grew up in Georgia. I should be a Georgia person, but my family, periphery of family, were either Florida State or Georgia, and the entities that were really big about them, they were just not kind to me all the time. They were just, like I wanted to, and so like you associate. I'm like, well, if that's what people at Georgia are going to represent, then screw them, But I went to school at the University of Miami, which we suck right now anyway.
The U, baby.
We have. By the way, yeah, I was there when we won a national championship. We should have won. We should have won a second one, but we got screwed by Ohio State. Well, ref screwed us really. But so one, there's a loyalty there. I have property in university or right outside of where the University of Tennessee's at. But I've become a fan, honestly, of people more than I don't even watch games on TV anymore unless I go to a game. I don't watch a game. Any sport, like I just don't have the time and I don't want to do that. But you guys look like you have a great time with everything. So fun stuff, okay? Tell me, I would like to know one place on planet Earth you haven't been to that, whether you and your wife are going to take a whole family, or somewhere you haven't been that you intend to go in the next 36 months or so.
We want to go to Amalfi Coast. We haven't been there yet. We want to check out Greece. So that's kind of on our...
I like how fast you're like, yeah.
I just know. Well, trust me, guys. Every time you go on a vacation, what do you always do on a vacation? You plan your next one, right?
You think of planning the next one, right? Yeah.
That's our next stop.
Favorite restaurant?
Oh, man, see, here's where you're probably going to hate me. I'm not a foodie at all. I really don't care.
You're not a foodie at all?
But there's a place called Local 3.
All right.
And it's just it's a nice little restaurant in Atlanta. It's called Local 3, and you get the chef's table, and they do little food pairings. And for whatever reason, I've had the best experience. It could be the company, right? And the company makes the food better, in my opinion. But
sure,
I love that place. But man, I don't care. My kids hate when I say eat for purpose, not for pleasure. I don't really care what I eat. I can eat the same thing every day.
So, are you a pizza man or not a pizza man?
I'll eat it. I'll eat it. Hamburgers.
Pineapple on pizza or not?
Heck yeah, Hawaiian. That's a good one. Hawaiian.
Okay.
Like we do Hawaiian.
That's a good one. I like it too.
When we get pizza, it's usually Hawaiian.
I like it.
So thin crust,
Yeah.
Makes me feel better about myself.
Gotcha. Okay. If you weren't doing martial arts, what would you be doing with your life?
Oof. Ministry or fitness, right? Being working at church or something in the fitness industry, because I really do enjoy that big time. So also, I also enjoy the, we've not necessarily real estate, but maybe not flipping houses, but something in the realms of that, because we enjoy that aspect too.
In that space.
In that space.
All right. So let's say you got your 3 kids. They're all grown. They got their own kids. You're an old man. Are you a guy that's going to retire and go to the beach, or what do you see yourself in, like the later phase of life? What do you see Josh becoming when you're in the season of life? No kids are at home, it's just you and your wife.
And I have zero desire to retire. Zero. I never want to retire. I don't. I just don't. I want to work. Now, obviously, we can't travel. We can't go wherever we want. We travel mostly what we do, and even with kids, our kids are old enough now where we're fine. But I think I just want to keep grinding, keep making an impact. I want to go out. I don't want to go out as dust. I want to go out as ash. I want to burn my way out. You know, so I'm gonna go. I'm just keep until I die. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. We're very similar. I tell people, I don't want to rust out.
No.
You know.
I mean, I've heard this before too. They say when you get to heaven, God's not gonna be like, "Hey, you have a great golf swing," you know, like you're out in the beach.
Right,
Like I want to go out doing good, you know.
100%. So last question, and first of all, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to working with you here in the future, and just being connected. Dude, that's gonna be
if you're watching this and you haven't signed up, you've got to go. And I'm not. Maybe I am a conference snob. I don't do conferences, but I'm really looking forward to this one. I sat on one of your calls earlier this week, and I had a blast, man. I think the best leaders know how to follow. Right, you have to know how to follow also. So I sat back and I just listened. I didn't talk. I didn't want to try to. I just wanted to absorb information. I took away. I think I texted you a few really good nuggets. I cannot wait to share with my staff. So I appreciate that. I can't wait for.
Well, you're only allowed to come on once a week because we have a pretty boy quotient, and that's all we can handle. So only one good-looking dude a week. That's all it's allowed to be on our calls. But last question, and we'll wrap this up for today. And I appreciate your time. 2025's here. Give me the one thing outside of business, outside of the business stuff, for you personally, that you intend to accomplish before the end of the year.
So I mean, it's just back to fitness. You know, that's really what it is. Is just I have some fitness goals about just being a little more active. I wanted to start fighting again, and I'm in good shape. I'm not in that fighting shape. So my personal goal was just to get back to do some rounds. This last Wednesday at the dojo, we had my staff. We had Gitana and Jalen and Shay and Trey Lazenby. We had Alex. We had Bailey Murphy. We had like Chris Walker. We had it was an all-star. And I want to be able to get back in those nights and have fun and kick a punch. My kid's a little older now, a little more margin.
Yeah.
So just getting back in some fighting shape. That's really kind of my main outside of business goals. I'm kind of like you. I'm pretty consistent with my routine. So I get up, first thing I do is I have my prayer list and I go into my devotionals and I read and I learn and I breathe and meditate and I visualize, do all that stuff. So I've been doing that for a while. So I feel like I'm where I want to be there, but just want to get back to doing what I love, hitting people and having fun before I can't do it anymore.
Hit more people is what I just heard. That's great. All right, Josh, hey, I appreciate your time today, and I look forward to talking to you here soon.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.